Hey everyone, I just got back from a bike ride and I thought I'd share some information with you. Stromer came out with a new software update. I'm reading my phone here. So it's firmware 4.5.03. Looks like it came out March 5th of 2025. And I installed it yesterday and I have to say it made a huge difference in the bike. Now we'll go over just what they have here, but I really want to talk about at least one thing that I experienced today that was a huge upgrade for me. The features that they came out with is that the bikes with pinion smart shifts, so the ST5 and the ST7, apparently now automatically switch to the highest gear when theft mode is activated. So I guess that way it's harder to pedal. The other thing is they changed some things with the smart lock feature. And again, I'll leave a link to the website where it explains these changes in detail, but it now works with the Bluetooth BLE, which is a low power Bluetooth connection. So that's a really good thing. Then there's some system software issues as well that they fixed to improve stability and compatibility with other things. But really, when you get down into the various optimizations that they're describing here, one is improved handling in sport mode. Sport mode has been optimized to enable a more dynamic and agile driving style. We'll talk about that in a second. Stronger recuperation when both brake levers are actuated. This means that recuperation can be controlled even better. I would agree with that. That worked great today. Maximum recuperation current of the BQ1440 battery has been increased. I couldn't tell you what that means, but sure. Battery temperature monitoring and standby. I don't know how to regulate that, but it looks like it's available somewhere in the Omni app, so I'll have to dig into that one a little bit more. There's a firmware update for the ST5 pinion around the sound module. So I have the ST7 and that doesn't really apply to me. But this one here is good. The permitted motor temperature in sport mode has been increased slightly so it could be used for longer. And that is working really good. And I'll talk to you about that in a second. Optimized location determination. That's a great thing. There was a white screen bug that they ended up fixing. There was another bug around the sensor, so they fixed that. The motor tuning setting agility for mode 2 didn't work as intended. That problem's been fixed. The horn button and smart shift buttons for ST5 and ST7 are now correctly deactivated when locked, but the theft alarm still works. That's great. And then various optimizations. But let me talk about what I experienced today on my ride with the new software, because what I wanted to test out was the sport mode. Typically, sport mode for me worked pretty well in lower temperatures. And I live in Las Vegas, and so the temperatures get pretty warm here. Today is a warm day. I think the temperature when I went riding was about 73 degrees Fahrenheit, which is on the low end of the season. It's just now starting to get spring this week. I think next week it'll be 85 degrees. And so we ramp into summer pretty quick. But what I've experienced, at least between the 70-degree mark and the 80-degree mark, is that sport mode would last maybe 10 minutes, roughly 15. If you were going uphill, then the sport mode would be greatly diminished. What I found today is I went on a 50-minute bike ride. About 12 minutes into the ride, I turned sport mode on, and for the remainder of the ride, it kept in sport mode the entire time. I went up hills. I was able to go up hills at between 20 to 23 miles an hour, which was faster than normal. And not once did I get any kind of indication that sport mode wasn't working. You do still get that red line in the Omni showing that power is being delivered, but sport mode worked great. The other thing is it actually felt better. You could actually feel that sport mode was working, and it was just a blast to ride. So that was really fun. The other thing I noticed as well, and this could just be a psychological thing, but typically at 30 miles an hour, the bike would literally want to fight you, and it would aggressively try to get you to a lower speed. And you could tell you were struggling through it. This here, that 30 mile an hour kind of limit was a lot more gentle, I should say. It's still there, but it wasn't as aggressively trying to lurch you forward. And you could just feel it in your legs. Hey, you've hit the ceiling, and you can still keep at this speed, but you're not going to be able to go any faster. And I felt that was a big improvement. What I'd love to see is have the motor just shut off and you could still pedal manually through that speed limit cap, but unassisted. Because there are times where maybe you're going downhill or you're at a nice, comfortable pace and you just want to keep your legs moving at that pace instead of having to back off. And so it'd be great if they just depowered the motor instead of having it actively brake and try to stop you. So that would be a really cool feature in the next iteration. But I would say that the riding of the bike in complete sport mode is just a lot more fun. It seems to be a lot more responsive. Like I said, it lasted for over 30 minutes, let's say, without any problems whatsoever. One penalty for doing that, though, is you are going to eat up a lot of battery. So I started the ride at 80%. I got home and I think I was at 43%. So it is going to tear up your, as far as drainage is concerned, but that's just the penalty you pay for running at max power. Just keep that in mind. This was more of a test. I kept it on sport mode the entire time, or at least from that 12-minute mark through the end of my ride. And it was absolutely expected that the battery level was going to drain pretty quick. But overall, I think the update is really good. We'll see on the torque sensor, because typically the torque sensors in previous software versions have been finicky. Some days they work really well. Other days you're hot garbage. Then you have to reset the sensor in the bike. So we'll see if that still is happening. But today it didn't happen at all. I didn't have to touch the torque sensor at all. It just worked great. And so this is a really good ride. Again, the temperature was about 72, 74 degrees, somewhere in there. So we'll see what happens when we get warmer weather. We'll continue to test this, but good job, Stromer, in this software update. Keep making them. There's a lot more I think this bike can actually do, and I'd love to see what you guys are coming up with next. So anyway, quick video today. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.